This is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Monday. Is it Monday? No, it's Tuesday. Jeez. Now I'm off my game. Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in beautiful New Jersey. And somewhere over the rainbow in Chicago, Illinois. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils take on the San Jose Sharks tonight. Vinnie, Timo Meier, seeing his old teammates, Mackenzie Blackwood, I believe it's probably going to be starting in net. A hot Mac Black. Jeez, Louise, we've got a game tonight. I'm already tired. I feel like falling asleep.
We sure do. It does seem Devils have been playing games in California for the last 40 years. For some reason, tonight just feels like a little extra late. I don't know. I think it's probably because it is at 9:30 or 10:30 Eastern rather than 10. 9:30 here. It's a wild game. I can't remember the last time I felt that the Devils have a game against San Jose in San Jose and they must win. Right? If they lose this game, I mean, they're already in trouble. They're in bigger trouble if they lose this game. But yeah, they acquired Timo Meier 366 days ago. It was a year anniversary yesterday of the big trade between the Devils and the Sharks. They've come together on trades over the years. It's not really shocking. If the Sharks put somebody available, I would assume the Devils would be one of the teams in the mix going forward, and same thing vice versa. But, I mean, he's been a little hurt this year, a little inconsistent at times. Tonight's a good night for – I mean, I didn't love his last game against Tampa Bay, but he was real good on Saturday against Montreal. And tonight would be a good night against his old mates to kind of get that good game going again that he had against Montreal. I think it's possible. I know if I were in the NHL or in any professional sports league, I would have a little extra juice in my game, a little extra pep in my step if I were playing against my old mates. The Sharks still have plenty of players too that San Jose had last year when he was playing there. It's not the same team. The Sharks are one of the worst teams in the league. There's always going to be turnover when you're dealing with a rebuild like that. But, I mean, a couple of his old mates are still there and should be fun to see him go out there.
Now, I thought I read somewhere that Mackenzie Blackwood, 4-1-1 in his last 6 starts.
Yeah, I could pull it up for you. I know exactly where to find it. But, yeah, 4-1-1.
Of course the Devils have to – play a hot goaltender like Mackenzie Blackwood, who, started his career in New Jersey, showed a lot of promise, but injuries happened, and then just slowly just played himself out of the lineup. Remember last year, the last time we saw Mackenzie Blackwood last season, he got replaced last game of the season against the Washington Capitals by, I believe, Akira Schmid, which the Devils came back and won that game, which was kind of cool. But right now, I think the big story right now is Lindy Ruff on the hot seat. I mean, the seat is hot right now. It is burning.
So really quick, Blackwood, last 6 starts is 4-1-1 with a .929 save percentage. So we'll see if the Devils are able to crack the code that is their old goaltender. But, yeah, Lindy Ruff's seat is hot. And I'm not even going to say it's not deserved, right? Like, I'm not fire Lindy guy. I'm not keep Lindy guy. I've always had that stance. I have had that stance since this debate started last year. My theory is the players play, and hopefully the coach puts them in a good spot that allows them to play well. Last year, Lindy did that. If you don't think Lindy did that, I don't know what to tell you. They're the most points in the history of the New Jersey Devils in the regular season. Jack Hughes had 99 points. Nico Hischier had 80. He was nominated for the Selke Trophy. There are all sorts of reasons to like what Lindy Ruff did last year. This year there have been tons of injuries. I heard Paul Bissonnette ask Tony Granato on the TNT broadcast the other night, Were you a better coach when you had a better goalie? Granato was like, yeah, you don't quite realize it at the time, but yes, the best coaches in the league have good goaltending. I don't think anybody's arguing. All of a sudden Pittsburgh has goaltending problems, and they're talking about Mike Sullivan not being their coach anymore. Well, when they had Marc-Andre Fleury or Matt Murray going in their prime, but Mike Sullivan's the best coach in the league. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Last year, the Boston Bruins, Linus Ullmark was nominated for the Vezina Trophy. This year, they're kind of fraud. They have fraudulent tendencies, do the Bruins this year. But Jeremy Swayman, a Vezina Trophy caliber winning goaltender. Nobody's calling for Jim Montgomery or anything like that right now. But let one of those two guys, their games fall off a little bit, and the Bruins start losing some games. You'll see how that goes. The Capitals have had 3 head coaches since Braden Holtby fell out of his prime. Back in those days. The Devils really haven't gotten the goaltending situation right in the long term since Martin Brodeur retired, and they've had 6 or 7 coaches since. So figure out the goaltending position, you start to get some saves, the team starts to play well. All of a sudden, you think Lindy's the best goalie in the league. Vanacek had a good year last year. No one wanted Lindy gone beyond the 3rd game. This year, all the goalies have been subpar. Everyone wants Lindy gone again. I'm not saying these lines are great. I don't love Tyler Toffoli playing 3rd line left wing when he leads the team in goals. I don't love Timo Meier making $9 million on the 3rd line second power play unit. Don't love that. But, it's Lindy's team. He's the coach. Until they fire him, he makes the lines.
We're less than a year removed from a record-breaking season.
Yeah. And winning around.
Yeah. Now, Max, I'm going with Max's, what he texted me early this morning, that the Devils are 21 points behind their pace last season, right?
Seems right.
All right. So I'm gonna say a couple things. They're 21 points behind last year's pace at this time last year. Lindy Ruff's been on the hot seat, right? The media, some say he should be fired. Some say there's no urgency with the front office. All opinions, of course, right? Do I agree? To an extent. Do I disagree? To an extent. But that 21 points, if you take out that 13-game heater that the Devils had last season, I'm not saying that they're on par, but that 13-game heater may have allowed a lot of us to kind of overvaluate the team where they really are. And could be, and it allowed them to have that record-breaking point season.
100%. If they go, let's say, so they had 1,000 winning percentage over that 13-game stretch. Let's say it was a 650 winning percentage during that time. Still a playoff team. 650 winning percentage gets you in the postseason, 98, 99, 100 points. That's great. I do think it made people, and again, they did. The fact of the matter is they did win those 13 games in a row, and they passed the eye test while doing it. Jack Hughes was scoring every other game, it seemed like.
Yep.
Jesper Bratt was on fire. Graves, people underestimate how good Ryan Graves played in the first half of last season. Kind of tailed off a little bit towards the end, but he had some big moments. I didn't love the way he played in the Carolina series, but he hasn't been really good with the Pittsburgh Penguins most of this season. Damon Severson. Columbus probably regrets that contract at this point. He was good for the Devils last year. Even these guys might have been good with the Devils this year had they stayed. But there's a lot of things that changed. Miles Wood. Miles Wood was a good third liner. People hated his guts because he'd get on a breakaway and shoot it right into the goalie's pads. But guess what? He got on those breakaways. Now his replacement might be a guy who, instead of getting a breakaway and shooting it into the goalie's pads, just doesn't have the puck at all. Mm-hmm. And, those types of things change the ebbs and flows of a game. Maybe Miles Wood gets on a breakaway, save made by whoever, but then the Hughes line comes out with all this momentum, and they score a goal, or they create chances. And then, Heischer's line follows suit right after. There's the cause of it and effect of hockey is truly amazing, but it's there. And there are a lot of reasons that this team isn't as good as it was last year. I do believe, however, that the foundation that made last year so great is still there. Jack Hughes is 22. Okay, if he's the captain of Team USA in the Olympics in 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised. His brother Luke is going to make the team too. That's how good he is. Nico Hischier is one of the premier two-way centers in the NHL. Jesper Bratt, they got him in the 6th round. If he has anywhere from 70 to 90 points over every year for the next decade, that is an outstanding get in a top 6 forward. Timo Meier, he's not having the best year this year, but if he could play like he did on Saturday for 5 of the next 8 years, Devils are in a real good spot with Timo Meier. Seamus Casey is on the way. I've seen him play with my own 2 eyes. He is unbelievable. He's a little small. I'm not sure you can have too many of him on a single team, but he's going to make plays for the Devils, run a second unit maybe. Dougie Hamilton hasn't played since November. Not going to play again this regular season. That's a huge piece missing from the team. Hamilton's probably their 3rd best player behind Hughes and Hischier. You add a guy like that back to the blue line, the power play is better. The 5-on-5 breakouts are better. People are slotted down into their proper roles. There are all sorts of things you can point to why this team is where they are right now. You hope they take advantage of some bad California teams here in the coming days so that they could probably get back on track. The funny thing is, people are acting like they're a lottery team. They're 5 points out of a playoffs if they beat the Sharks tonight. Not an insurmountable amount to come back from at all. Saw Florida do it last year, made it to the Stanley Cup final. They got healthy in the second half and things got on a roll. And they fired their coach early in the season. A little different. They fired Joel Quenneville because of other reasons. That was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. But they brought in Paul Maurice to replace Brunette, who that was an unpopular opinion or an unpopular move in Florida. Didn't work out right away. Fire Lindy, get rid of Fitzy, make this trade, get a goalie, make better lines. There are a lot of things that can get this team back on track.
Here's the deal, okay? I think a lot of times fans, the media, generally speaking, I'm not saying pointing fingers or whatever, hindsight's 20/20. They're playing Monday morning quarterback on a lot of this stuff. Fitzgerald, I would believe, if you believe some of the rumors that are out there, some of the trade proposals, actual trade proposals that quote-unquote sources are saying, assuming that they're true, and I'm just making an assumption, maybe not so much the details, but every team right now knows the Devils' goaltending situation, and I would say the desperation of the Devils trying to find their one goaltender and maybe one veteran defenseman stopper away from really contending. Every GM is trying to rip off Tom Fitzgerald because of Seamus Casey and prospects or young players like Dawson Mercer that are on the Devils roster or in the system. And I can tell you right now, and I'm not trolling, because people are asking, Fitzy should have done something then. The lack of urgency of Fitzy not doing anything. I can tell you with a straight face, I am proud of Fitzy for not falling for it, for standing pat by doing nothing, because he's not showing his cards. Everybody knows what his cards are, but he is not desperate or his job security's on the line where he has to mortgage the future with a stupid trade for a goaltender that at best is maybe 29, 30, 31 years old, maybe 32 for now, and you're going to mortgage the future for what? You really think that this team is going to actually win the Stanley Cup? It's not the time to be all in. And the fallback plan, what I would say, and fans don't want to hear this, but say if the Devils don't get in the playoffs, they'll get what they want because Lindy probably will get canned. Okay. You get your draft pick, a mid-round, first-round pick. If you're sellers by the trade deadline, guess what? You're going to get more future picks as well. Picks are people. Picks are assets. They're not guaranteed, but you get your best return on investment on talent through draft picks versus free agency. It's just a known fact, or even trades for that matter. So I'm going to tell you, it's not that Fitzy doesn't want to do anything. It's not that Lindy is a dope and has lost a room. A lot of it is on the players as well. I'm sure they're pissed. But for saying that Fitzy didn't do anything, he should have known, blah, blah, blah. In context, I don't think Fitzy could have really done anything because everybody knows what the Devils' problem is, and they're trying to take advantage of Fitzy, but Fitzy says no. He's kicking the tires on it, and I'm actually happy that he has the ability to say no to a bad deal and is not worried about his job security or panicking under pressure.
I think that's one of the big positives to having job security is not making short-term deals to save your own you-know-what.
Yeah.
Fitzy, he hasn't made a trade like that. Ray Shero made a couple trades like that.
Yep.
I know Taylor Hall won an MVP, and that was so much fun, but like you traded a good defenseman for a forward that never had more than 80 points in a season, and then he comes to the Devils, has one magnificent 96-point season, drags him into the playoffs. And I'm not saying I would make the Taylor Hall trade again too, but, it ended up not being exactly what people thought. And, he picked Nico Hischier over Nolan Patrick to his credit. And, didn't listen to the morons that thought that Capo Caco was worth taking over Jack Hughes. But I still think he probably makes a trade that is irrational, like in the moment type of deal. And Fitzy's got long-term things in place. All those reasons that I named that the Devils have a bright future, no matter what happens this season. I can't remember if it was you or Shorts Guy. One of you made the point that if this season was last year and last season was this year, it would have made a lot more sense. It would have just made a ton more sense. Because 2 years ago, Sam, we were picking the other team to win in prediction time every day. That was 2 years ago was terrible. I mean, by the end of the season, it really sucked. And then they ended up winning the lottery again and got Shimon Nemitz with the second overall pick. But, another player, the player I didn't even mention when talking about the bright future.
Yeah.
But I just think, if a good deal for Saros can be made or something like that, go for it.
Well,
awesome.
I mean, the rumor, and I'm basing it on a rumor, but let's just say that rumor was true, or as a hypothetical, that you're going to give up Casey, Mercer, a first rounder, yada, yada, yada. Like, Barry Trotz is not stupid. He's going to ask for the world. He's, and he knows, and Barry Trotz knows that he's not on the same planet as Tom Fitzgerald. But he's just getting, that starting point is really a non-starter, but it tells you how much Barry Trotz values Saros and also values what the Devils have in the farm system and some of their young players, even on the Devils roster, that, hey, I'll throw some names down. Maybe one of them you give up, even though the four that you won't, but at least I got one of them to get that talking points through for a trade. Honestly, it's what Tom says in the YouTube Live. No point doing deals now. But some of the people, fans on Twitter and social media are criticizing that Fitzy should have got it done. We talked about the Hellebuck. Fitzy tried, but the price was way too high. You're going to get Hellebuck in his prime right now, but with this young core defense, I don't think Hellebuck can hold the fort. I just, and Shorts Guy would agree that if it doesn't matter what kind of goaltender you have. I think Dominic Hasek may be like the exception to the rule. But if your defense is so bad, that $9 million a year for a Vezina caliber goaltender is not going to really get you far. Honestly,
Yes.
You got to play good defense.
The Devils had a top 5 goalie in Corey Schneider for like 4 years. There were a good 4 years where Corey Schneider was a top 5 goalie, and boy, did they stink when he was in net.
Yep,
they were terrible. Schneider probably kept him from getting McDavid.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, they were that bad.
Hashtag goals for Corey. Remember that on Twitter?
Yeah. I remember one time I went to Taco Bell, and in the drive-thru line, they asked, anything else? I said, some goals for Corey Schneider, and they were like, what? I was like, never mind.
You actually do that?
Yeah, I did it once. Some goals for Corey Schneider.
This reminds me. I did this once, and my friend was just like, what are you doing? So the Devils were playing the Canes. This is back in the old Meadowlands, right? And remember how I used to tell this story that one day my friend and I got bored because we got there so early that we started walking around. So we're actually walking through the Meadowlands, like it was actual meadows and all that. And we're on this dirt path. We see like a Cadillac roll by, be like, oh, it's probably mafia. And then we're just like walking, and we went to this place. We found this place called the River Barge, right? It was like this really great restaurant. It's no longer there, and it overlooks the pollutant waters of the Meadowlands. And I remember playing the Canes, the Hurricanes, that I ordered chicken franchise, but I called it chicken Ron Francis or whatever. And I remember the waitress was like, what? What? That's when Stevens hit Ron Francis, and he got up and all that kind of stuff. Anyway.
That's funny.
It's the stupid things you do as a Devils fan.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny
or
to
just
you.
Like a sports fan.
Yeah. It's funny to you, but to the innocent person that has no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of.
That's funny. Yeah. I definitely did that at Taco Bell. I ordered my meal, 3 hard shell tacos or whatever. Okay, anything else? Some goal support for Corey Schneider? What? No. That's it.
We're not ordering or something about Henrik Lundqvist. Yeah, I want a drink with no cups like Henrik. What?
I have an uncle who's a pilot, and he was doing a layover in Vancouver, and he's a Blackhawks fan. And he told the bartender, and he recorded himself doing it. He told the bartender that it's okay if they put his drink in a paper cup because he knows there's a shortage of cups in Vancouver. It's just those stupid jokes that like 10% of the population understands, but the 10% that does, they get it.
The worst are the Ranger fans when they do it because they think they're funny. It's like, we just sold out your building again. Like all those like little snickering comments that they do, or when they walk by.
They're low-key insulting themselves when they say that, in my opinion, because you're Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world. First of all, it stinks compared to the Prudential Center.
It's got asbestos, too, by the way.
That too. It's like $200 for a random Tuesday night game, right? And I love hockey. I love it. That's an overpriced ticket for a hockey game. You come to our barn where it's better, cheaper, better food, more fun, better lighting. Like, okay, congrats. You sell out the Rock when the Rangers play the Devils, when the Rangers are supposed to be pretty good and the Devils are having a tough year. Congratulations. We beat you 2 times in a row in the playoffs. The Devils have won the Stanley Cup 3 times since the Rangers last won 1. And the Rangers are wasting the primes of Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, Shesterkin, and Fox like fruit on a dead tree, while the Devils are actually good at developing young talent. So it's taking them a little longer. The Rangers buy their way to winning a round or 2, and the Devils are building something that probably will last a little bit longer, you would hope.
Yeah. Well,
I would not trade every player in the Devils organization right now for every player in the Rangers organization right now. I absolutely would not do that. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I'd be honest. Ask me my other sports. Would I take the Chicago Bears roster and the Green Bay Packers roster and rotate them if I could? Absolutely, I would. I wouldn't even hesitate. Would I take the Chicago White Sox roster and the Chicago Cubs roster and switch them if I could? Absolutely, I would. It has nothing. When I say that about the Devils, I'm being truthful.
Well, the Rangers fans that I talked to during the playoffs last season, the ones that are reasonable, said a couple things that they like about what we do. Number one, drinking outside, pre-gaming at American Whiskey and at Reds, being out in the streets like that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that. They thought it was pretty cool. The Ranger fans that, are reasonable.
For sure.
The other
They're
thing,
out there.
And the other thing that they told me, which is not to give ourselves a pat on the back, they said, we don't have a podcast like this. Like, there are fan podcasts out there, but who does it on a stage in the middle of the street and, do what we do both pre and post game, and now we have our own beer.
That's a big key too.
Yeah.
It's the beer and the live events is
Yeah.
what separates it, I think. Any Joe Schmo can, and I respect people that do this. I do. Everybody starts somewhere. Yeah. I started somewhere. I remember when my Twitter had 100 followers. Like, you got to start somewhere. But, like, keep doing it. But you got to keep putting out shows every day, every week.
Yep.
And then the beer, the live shows, do something that makes you a little bit different than everybody else.
I was also on YouTube before. I was actually texting Nick Vaughn about this. Holy crap, I haven't been paying attention. Do you know how many Devils fan podcasts are on YouTube and elsewhere? Like, some of these podcasts I've never even heard of before.
They're out there.
Yeah, they're out there. And a lot of them, I don't know if they do it live, but they do it like kind of like this kind of setup, both remote, all that. I mean, we were probably the first to do this in terms of live video. I would say we were one of the first or the first for at least from the Devils, fan-centric point of view.
At least from fans who are nice to people.
What's that?
At least we're fans, like we were the first that are nice to people. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I try to be nice to everybody. I mean, right now, like sometimes, sometimes there are haters of this podcast. And, there's a lot of people that talk garbage on Twitter and all that. I take that with a grain of salt. But sometimes they walk up to you and say something like, your podcast sucks. It's like, okay, so what was your goal? To insult me?
It sucks so bad that you went out of your way to come talk to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, or
I don't even know who you are.
Or they like, do that little snarky remark, but they run away like a, like a little coward, so I don't see them or whatever. Or I can't react or whatnot, but
absolutely. You know me, and I don't know you.
But the hardest part, Vinny, because you know me personally behind the scenes. What's really funny about that is the hardest part is trying to be professional. It is the hardest because I'm the king of comebacks if somebody does that. But it's very hard to like bite your tongue because in essence, our goal here is to promote what's right about Devils fandom, essentially. And, with that comes responsibility, and you kind of have to, hold your fire sometimes. But I love the passion of the fans. A lot of fans saying, 90% of the fan base, from what I see, saying fire Lindy, whatever. But to me, what they're saying is we want results.
Yep.
We want you to wake up. And all that. So
absolutely, that's a "what have you done for me lately" league.
Yeah, Max is saying that. Manestein tweeted. It looks like they're going 11-7. 11-7.
Huh. I don't love that.
Yeah. So
but,
that is interesting.
It is 11-7. Nosek is out. The top line is Meier, Heischer, Bratt. The second line is Palat, Hughes, Lazar. Third line is Toffoli, Halla, Mercer. And the fourth line is just Tierney and Holtz. I assume they're going to double shift Jack Hughes. And then the defensive pairs are Ball with Marino, Hughes with Smith, Siegenthaler with Nemitz, and Miller. I don't know who Miller would probably rotate in and out with. Probably with Ball, would be my guess. And Marino would be the double-shifted defenseman. Dawes and Net. So that's the lineup for today.
I've seen a lot of criticism of having Lazar on the Jack Hughes line.
Yeah.
But Lazar is going to create room for Jack Hughes.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you would think. So, all right. So let's get to predictions.
Predictions. Get your predictions in the YouTube chat right now. Sam will read them aloud.
Oh, I have to read them?
You're going to read them? You've been monitoring the chat today. I've been looking at lines on X.
Oh, okay.
But before you get into that, I'll give mine. I believe they got to get this done. Cannot lose to the Sharks. Just cannot lose to the Sharks. I think the Devils go out there and destroy them. Really put it to them. Jack, Timo, Nico, Jesper, Luke. Do something. Score on the power play. Make it look like you're as skilled and talented as you are. Win the game 5-1.
5-1. Let's see here. Tony P says 7-1 Devils. Steve Engel says 5-3 Sharks. He's playing his psychological games again, Steve Engel. Joseph
That's
Lenham,
4 in a row, I think, for him, picking the other team.
Yeah. Also, Steve Engel is going to make his appearance at American Whiskey on March 9th, apparently.
Very good.
Yeah, so get your tickets now. Steve Engel. Joseph Lenham says 5-0 Devils. John M. says 3-1 Sharks, nail in the coffin. Kodak says 5-3 Devils or 3-1 Sharks. Art Eaton says 2-0 Devils. Tom says 3-2 Devils. Select Boy says 4-3 Devils. Jacob says 4-3 Devils in overtime. Paul C. says 2-1 Devils. Ramona said, I said 5-1 Devils, says Ramona. My Sharona. Max says 4-2 Devils. Tom is saying that he's predicting that I'm going to predict 18-6 Devils. Shane Van Sickle says 6-1 Devils. Timo Hattie, 4-1 Devs, says JP. Corbin says 6-4 Devils. Canadian Whiskey says 4-3 Sharks. Start the fire sale. Canadian Whiskey, take a hike. Supernova says, ugh.
I'm disgusted by the people picking the Sharks. Come on, man.
Vinny, I got a confession to make.
What's that?
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
You're not gonna like it though. I feel like Pete Rose.
Oh no. Oh no. That's bad.
I know.
You didn't.
Plus 240, man. I had to do it.
You didn't.
No. This is the psychological effect, okay?
No.
This is the psychological effect, okay? So I signed up for DraftKings, right? And then they did some, promo. So I took, some of the credits they give you and started playing blackjack. So I got a little house money out of it. I won $50 of house money, right? So I said, all right, I'll take $22. I don't know. I made some odd. I took $22.65, and I bet on the Sharks. And you know why I did that? Because if the Devils lose tonight, at least I made money. But if the Devils win tonight, I didn't lose any money. I lost house money.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah. But that
the Devils are that favored against the Sharks?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently. I think it was like plus 240, the Sharks.
That proves to me that the fan base is overreacting just a little bit. Like, Vegas thinks they are considerably better than the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
Like, they think they're in a different league. Vegas thinks, like the books, think the Devils are significantly better than the Sharks with those types of odds.
Suzerain,
better freaking win.
Suzerain of Nice says Sharks will score first. Devils win 2-1. Alberto Roa says Devils win 3-2. JP says they were 0-11 on the road, then beat us at home. Yeah, you know what? Anybody can beat the Devils at the Prudential Center this year.
That was the game, though, where Akira Schmid faced 50 shots the night before against Philly.
Yep.
And Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes combined for a sick OT GWG, and then one night later they run Akira back out there. No goalie in the NHL should be playing. This isn't 1990. No goalie in the NHL should be playing the second half of a back-to-back when they faced 40-plus shots the night before.
Yeah. All right, so here's my prediction. We're a little bit over in overtime right now. Despite betting against my own team for my insurance policy of my mental health, I'm going to say 9-4 Devils. 9-4 Devils.
The most goals the Devils have ever scored in a game is 9.
It's going to happen tonight in the Shark Tank. And, so there will be Devils After Dark after the game, as per usual. Yes, Scotty, SiriusXM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was in the middle of the night. I'm sure you fans are hoping for John Marino football calls in the middle of the night because Mrs. Wu has to get to bed early because she's got to go to work tomorrow. Not that I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Of course I got to go to work tomorrow. But if the Devils win, I'll be so hyper I don't need sleep.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right.
I love that.
Yeah, we'll drop in the podcast in about 20, 30 minutes. Thank you to all those tuning in. Can't wait for post-game. I can't wait for the football call. I'll even text Paul Marino in the middle of the night. Hey, got a football call coming. And he'd be like, Sam, you're too much.
Sam, go to frickin' bed. My son made it to the show. Quit texting me. Sam, it's 2 a.m. Why are you screaming? I don't care. Marino scored.
Paul Marino. He'd be like, go back to the car. Jump in the harbor. Calm down. All right. Getting out of here. JoinOurCrew.com for the latest of our events and updates. We've got a couple events coming up in March. Also, we've also got the Arizona and Vegas trip that is coming up mid-March, and then possibly another big stage event, and also possibly something at Stagehouse Tavern in April. Find out soon. JoinOurCrew.com. Till next time, let's go Devils.